Ra. I am Ra. I greet you in the love and in the light of the one infinite creator. We communicate now. Questioner. Could you tell me of the instrument's condition, and if she is improving with time? Ra. I am Ra. This instrument's vital energies are improving with time as you measure it. This instrument's physical energies are less than your previous asking. Questioner. I have a question from the instrument that I will read. You have suggested several times that sexual energy transfers aid the instrument's vital energy and this contact. It seems that this is not true for all people, that the sexual circuitry and the spiritual circuitry are not the same. Is this instrument an anomaly, or is the positive effect of sexual activity on spiritual energy normal for all third density beings? Ra. I am Ra. This instrument, though not anomalous, is somewhat less distorted towards the separation of mind, body, and spirit than many of your third density entities. The energies of sexual transfer would, if run through the undeveloped spiritual electrical or magnetic complex which you call circuitry, effectually blow out that particular circuit. Contrarily, the full spiritual energies run through bodily complex circuitry will also adversely affect the undeveloped circuit of the bodily complex. Some there are, such as this instrument, who have not in the particular incarnation chosen at any time to express sexual energy through the bodily circuitry. Thus from the beginning of such an entity's experience the body and spirit express together in any sexual action. Therefore, to transfer sexual energy for this instrument is to transfer spiritually as well as physically. This instrument's magnetic field, if scrutinized by one sensitive, will show these unusual configurations. This is not unique to one entity, but is common to a reasonable number of entities, who, having lost the desire for orange and green ray sexual experiences, have strengthened the combined circuitry of spirit, mind, and body to express the totality of beingness in each action. It is for this reason also that the social intercourse and companionship is very beneficial to this instrument, it being sensitive to the more subtle energy transfers. Questioner. Thank you. If you, Ra, as an individualized entity were incarnate on Earth now with full awareness and memory of what you know now, what would be your objective at this time on Earth as far as activities are concerned? Ra. I am Ra. The query suggests that which has been learned to be impractical. However, were we to again be naive enough to think that our physical presence was any more effective than that love light we send your peoples and the treasure of this contact, we would do as we did do. We would be, and we would offer ourselves as teach learners. Questioner. Knowing what you know now about our planetary condition and methods of communication, etc., if you, yourself, as an individual had gone through the process of incarnation here, as a wanderer, and now have memory of a sufficient way to have the objective that you just stated, what mechanisms would you seek out for the process of teach learning in our present state of communication? Ra. I am Ra. My brother, we perceive you have made certain unspoken connections. We acknowledge these, and for this reason cannot infringe upon your confusion. Questioner. I was afraid of that. My lecture yesterday was attended by only a few. If this had occurred during a UFO flap, as we call them, many more would have attended. But since Orion entities cause the flaps, primarily, what is Orion's reward, shall I say, for visibility in that they actually create greater chances and opportunities for dissemination of information such as mine at those times? Ra. I am Ra. This assumption is incorrect. The flaps cause many fears among your peoples, many speakings, understandings concerning plots, cover-ups, mutilations, killings, and other negative impressions. Even those supposedly positive reports which gain public awareness speak of doom. You may understand yourself as one who will be in the minority due to the understandings which you wish to share, if we may use that misnomer. We perceive there is a further point we may posit at this time. The audience brought about by Orion-type publicity is not seated by seniority of vibration to a great extent. The audiences receiving teach learnings without stimulus from publicity will be more greatly oriented towards illumination. Therefore, forget you the counting. Questioner. Thank you. That clears up that point very well. A very important point. Can you tell me how positive and negative polarizations in fourth and fifth density are used to cause work in consciousness? Ra. I am Ra. There is very little work in consciousness in fourth and in fifth densities compared to the work done in third density. The work that is accomplished in positive fourth is that work whereby the positive social memory complex, having, through slow stages, harmoniously integrated itself, goes forth to aid those of less positive orientation which seek their aid. Thus their service is their work, and through this dynamic between the societal self and the other self which is the object of love, greater and greater intensities of understanding or compassion are attained. This intensity continues until the appropriate intensity of the light may be welcomed. This is fourth density harvest. Within fourth density positive there are minor amounts of catalyst of the spiritual and mental complex distortion. This occurs during the process of harmonizing to the extent of forming the social memory complex. This causes some small catalyst and work to occur, but the great work of fourth density lies in the contact betwixt the societal self and less polarized other self. In fourth density negative much work is accomplished during the fighting for position which precedes the period of the social memory complex. There are opportunities to polarize negatively by control of other selves. During the social memory complex period of fourth density negative the situation is the same. The work takes place through the societal reaching out to less polarized other self in order to aid in negative polarization. In fifth density positive and negative the concept of work done through a potential difference is not particularly helpful, as fifth density entities are, again, intensifying rather than potentiating. In positive, the fifth density complex uses sixth density teach learners to study the more illuminated understandings of unity, thus becoming more and more wise. Fifth density positive social memory complexes often will choose to divide their service to others in two ways. First, the beaming of light to creation. Second, the sending of groups to be of aid as instruments of light, such as those whom you're familiar with through channels. In fifth density negative, service to self has become extremely intense, and the self has shrunk or compacted so that the dialogues with the teach learners are used exclusively in order to intensify wisdom. There are very, very few fifth density negative wanderers, for they fear the forgetting. There are very, very few fifth density Orion members, for they do not any longer perceive any virtue in other selves.